These are the oldest known mummified bodies in the world, known as the Chinchorro mummies. They date back several millennia and 2,000 years before the ancient Egyptians. Around 80 of these remains are in a university museum in the small town of San Miguel de Azapa in the north of Chile. Vivian Standen has spent decades researching the Chinchorro culture. To this day, she remains overwhelmed by what they represent.
Y uno dice 6.000, 7.000, 5.000, así como muy... No, pero es una cantidad de tiempo. Somos Estado-nación hace 200 años, 500 años llegaron los españoles y ellos ya estaban acá hace 7.000, 8.000 años.
The Chinchorro were a people who had no wheel. They had no ceramics nor agriculture, yet they had a highly developed mummification process.
Hay que imaginarse la pintura original, digamos, roja, muy viva, muy, ¿no? Han pasado 5.000 años y todavía mantiene una pátina de ocre, pero no tiene claramente la nitidez o la brillantez que podría haber tenido cuando realizaron el tratamiento del cuerpo.
There are two styles of the Chinchorro mummies that investigators have identified. They are known as the black mummies and the red mummies. But the technique of eviscerating bodies, using sticks and clay to mummify them, remains a constant. And unlike the ancient Egyptians, whose process was linked to social status, the Chinchorro had a more democratic funeral rite. Even fetuses were treated this way. Many bodies were buried on the bluff in Arica, next to what is now the heart of the historical quarter of the city. One of the chief investigators into Chinchorro culture at the University of Tarapacá is Bernardo Arriaza. How was this discovery made?
In this case, was an architect was going to make a hotel, so they started to do some digging, and they found some mummies, and then they stopped. They found some more, and they keep coming. You know? they never stop coming. So at the end was a deal with the university. The university bought this place, and then we start to do plans to leave the mummies in situ because there's too many at the museum. Okay. So the idea was to have a place and say this is how the Chinchorro buried their dead thousands of years ago.
Investigators have been able to make a series of conclusions about the Chinchorro based on the discoveries of burial sites over the course of decades.
One thing is very intriguing. They are buried very shallow, about 50 centimeters to 1 meter of depth.
And what are the theories as to why that is?
I think one of the ideas is that they were never really buried per se. You know, they were kind of exposed. So it's like it was a daily interaction, the living with the dead. Some of the mummies that perhaps were repainted, retouched, because they have different layers. So it's a different dialogue with the dead.
Arriaza argues that high levels of arsenic in the water in this region led to high infant mortality, and the development of the practice of mummification is viewed as part of the Chinchorro's grieving process.
The Camarones have the highest amount of arsenic. And I postulated many years ago that artificial mummification perhaps developed because of arsenic. One of the things that happens with arsenic is that when it's injected, you start to get poison. But in the case of the mothers, they have a naturally occurring abortion, and many abortions, many kids that are lost, you know. And in the case of Camarones, the oldest mummies are fetuses and newborn, so that could be a link.
Arriaza says his theory has yet to be disproved. What is clear is that modern-day Arica sits on top of thousands of buried Chinchorro mummies.
A lot of people know that, and then when they build their houses, they just move the mummies a little bit and they keep building. That's part of the debate, you know, how the community helped to preserve the cultural property.
Preserving this cultural heritage is now in a new phase. Millennia-old Chinchorro remains lie along this coastal region, down to Caleta Camarones, where the oldest Chinchorro remains can be found.
Estamos en Caleta Camarones, es una caleta de pescadores que se instaló por allá por los años 85, 90. Yo me quedé por la hermosura del lugar, me cautivó los paisajes, me cautivó la historia y estoy acá sencillamente porque me enamoré de este espacio.
Jorge Ardiles is one of the community leaders in this small fishing village. He's an important part of an effort to preserve this cultural patrimony.
En esta ladera tenemos bastantes apariciones de cuerpos producto del viento que va descubriéndonos y es por ello que se instaló esta barrera de protección para que curiosos no traspasen la barrera y además puedan respetar y tratar de cuidar estos restos que en verdad son de bastante importancia por lo que significa en la historia de los asentamientos costeros, en este caso la cultura Chinchorro.
Apart from the bodies in the Museum of San Miguel de Azapa, the Chinchorro remain buried, and perhaps one of the reasons why this remarkable story is not better known is because it is hidden.
The Egyptian is very impressive because of these huge pyramids, and the complex of the sarcophagi, and all of the cultural material that goes along with that. In the case of the Chinchorros, those are small groups that live along the Atacama Desert. So, for example, they don't have big buildings. The cultural material is very simple.
So to raise the profile of this historic heritage, authorities worked with local artists to create the so-called Chinchorro route. Artists Paula Pimentel and Johnny Vasquez made these large sculptures that dot the Northern Highway as a reminder of this region's cultural history.
Era una cultura que me atrevería a decir que era muy feliz. Era horizontal, con un concepto claro de lo de comunidad, donde quizás allí, en ese contexto de felicidad que ellos vivían, está la respuesta de por qué nacieron los pueblos Chinchorro. Por eso nosotros como artistas, cuando nos enfrentamos a los pueblos Chinchorro, a partir de la historia que te estoy contando, nosotros vimos no un cadáver, vimos una obra de arte inspirada en el amor.
These two artists remain inspired by what they found, but are also wary of the need for care of this environment.
Es una cultura tan frágil que está ahí y da miedo en las políticas de desarrollo que puedan estropear o dañar lo que está abajo, lo que está enterrado, que se ha mantenido ya por miles de años. Entonces nuestra labor es custodiarlo, tanto nosotros que vivimos aquí, los artistas, todos los participantes de la sociedad, políticos, vecinos, todos deberíamos custodiar esta cultura y crear, formar leyes que protejan.
While urban development is a threat to millennia-old burial sites, conservation of the mummies that have been removed from their resting place remains a complication, explains the museum curator Mariela Santos.
Los cuerpos chinchorros son demasiado frágiles y lo comentaba anteriormente, son cuerpos que se empezaron a deteriorar en el minuto que los chinchorros los estaban tratando. Ellos estaban momificando los cuerpos, pero los diferentes materiales que ellos incorporaban en hacer estas esculturas de chinchorro, en modificar esos cuerpos, ya los materiales en sí tenían diferentes contracciones, tenían diferentes dilataciones y hacía que la estructura externa, que era el barro, se empezara a quebrar. Entonces eso les pasó en el minuto que ellos estaban tratando los cuerpos. En los años 80, 90, teníamos problemas con conservar las chinchorros, invitamos gente, vino gente de Europa, de Inglaterra, vino gente de Estados Unidos a ayudarnos y no nos pudieron ayudar, porque obviamente nosotros en ese minuto no entendíamos que nadie nos podía ayudar sino nosotros mismos.
Changing climatic conditions with increased humidity are just some of the problems facing the preservation of these mummies, and moving the mummies to museums elsewhere is out of the question.
5.000 años después, 6.000 años después que nosotros los tenemos, obviamente que su estructura interna está muy delicada. Por lo tanto, es casi imposible que nosotros podamos trasladar cuerpos para exponerlos en alguna parte fuera de la región.
So this region is hoping to raise its international profile to bring in funds to help preservation.
What we are trying to do now, we are trying to promote Chinchorro as a cultural patrimony of humanity. And we are putting together a document, a dossier, to send it to UNESCO.
Local authorities, the university and local communities are working to put together a plan that would enable these archaeological sites to be preserved and ensure that future generations can continue to marvel at the sight of this millennia-old cultural practice.